Welcome to yet another YouTube video for my video journal, I guess. I'm indoors today now. I'm really tempted to do all of these outside because of how nice the weather is, but today's kind of chilly, so we'll sort of stay indoors. Just got back from outside, that's why I'm all dressed up. I promise I'm not trying to do too much for these videos, but I think the first one where I'm just like in my bed right before going to sleep, no makeup, no nothing, grimy, greasy hair, I think that was a little too vulnerable. This goes out into the world, so I don't know, I just like to put in some effort, make myself look presentable. I want to talk to myself about books that I'm reading. So the one that we're talking about today is, I just finished reading Ian Rankin's, I hope I'm saying that right, A Good Hanging and Other Short Stories. So these are a collection of D.I. John Rebus detective short stories set in Edinburgh. I know who the hell names their character Rebus, D.I. John Rebus. I hate that name. Chill guy though, kind of funny. This is set in Edinburgh, and not like that's what it says on the thing too. It's not like the fancy sort of like cutesy aesthetic part of Edinburgh. It's like the dark, decrepit hells of like murderers and criminals and crimes of passion and rage and years-long rivalries and resentments. And those accumulate in, I believe there's 12 short stories in here. And D.I. Rebus is the guy that we follow along in these books, or in these stories. Personally, not bad, but also not really my thing. It's been a while since I've read mysteries. I used to read a lot of mysteries when I was a kid, namely Sherlock Holmes and anything by Agatha Christie, Marple, Hercule Poirot, and all the other non-serialized detective ones too. So like the sort of standalone stories as well. English is not my first language. Or my second, I guess. My second language is just going so whatever. Do I like this book? It was okay. Will I read more D.I. John Rebus? Probably not. It's been a while since I've read like the dry, dark humor that is associated with the Brits, specifically the Scottish, I guess. And it's just the pacing of it was a little off. Like, Sherlock Holmes is from a different era and he was way too posh, and then Miss Marple is the lovely sweetheart. So even though you do get the sarcasm, like the British sarcasm, it's the dark, dry humor isn't as present, which is this is sort of like, I wouldn't say packed, but it's there. Some of it's funny. It does make me chuckle out loud. I sat in on a friend's lecture once last week, and I was reading one of these, and I did a little it was kind of funny. That joke was kind of funny. But yeah, I would appreciate the tone a bit more, but it's just the pacing was a little off. Again, these are short stories, and they're told in like 23 pages, I think. And I don't know, it was just a little too short for me. I think I read somewhere that I think he has full-length novels, and I feel like his stories would have been a bit more, I don't know, better paced if it was a full-length novel, or slightly longer than like an average of 20-25 pages. I don't know. I like my mystery to linger. I like it when there's a nice sort of story arc to it, which I find in the short story it's a little rushed, and it's sort of even though we've got the humor and we've got the sort of plot twists, not a lot of it is just like I like some more exposition rather than me just being told what's going on. Because when I read like a full-length novel, I actually get some time to, I don't know, spend some time with the material myself and actually try and see if I can figure it out, which is interesting. I had a thing that I was going to Google right before this video, or before I started to talk about it, but I forgot to do that. So now we're just going to see if I can remember the fact off my mind, and maybe I'll stitch like a video together. I don't know how to do that, so we'll see. Yeah, while I was reading this book, a friend asked me whether or not I Googled it. I found it. Okay, cool. It was the name of a poem that I'm going to reference later. That's how much of a fucking loser I am. While I was reading this book, my friend asked me if, when the next video is coming out or something like that. And I did a mean thing. While I was reading this book, I'm like, I don't know if this book deserves, no, that's not the word I use, warrants. I think I said warrants a video. For me personally. And then I think before I wanted to write or finish the book, I looked at one of the Goodreads things for it to see, and that's where I found out that there is a long form novel for it. And the Goodreads people actually really like this book, and I'm not saying that everybody should have the same opinion on something, but who am I to say that? Who am I to say what warrants praise, what warrants prose or a video or an opinion piece? I think that was a little mean for me to do. But what I sort of was implying is there's not a lot of lingering thoughts that that are being inspired as I read the book. There's some thoughts being inspired by Edinburgh. I've always wanted to go there. I wanted to go to school there. When I was 15, I sort of used all the Edinburgh escapist things on Pinterest to go. It would have been fun if I went to school there, but I think it would have been quite lonely. Quite glad I didn't, because I have a really nice circle here at home, where I'm trying to build home, I suppose. So it's nice to see that there's crime in Edinburgh. It's not just like, oh, crime is only reserved for third world countries. No, bro. So that was interesting. It's dark, and there's, you're talking about the council housing, and you're talking about drug crises and homeless people, and why am I smiling while I say all these things? Drug crisis, homeless people, rampant purge of crime all across the city of Edinburgh. How wonderful! Really shows you that every place has its good sides and bad sides. I used to totally romanticize the city, for sure. Not just the city, like Scotland in general. I thought about moving to Scotland a couple of years back, and I had a very romantic view of that in my head. I think that's what happens, like when you have a romantic view of a certain place in your head. Fucks up your perception of it. Fucks up your perception of what you want to. Before I moved to the country that I currently reside in, I don't know how much personal information I want to give out in these, but I used to romanticize this place too. And then I got here. And then I saw that there are things wrong here too, but there are also things that are more aligned with what I'm looking for and what I'm hoping to get out of my life. And I'm very glad to say that I am on the right track for where I want to be, what I want to do. Is it all romantic? No. But I'm trying to make space for myself here. I don't really know what to say to that. Interesting thing is, I have this poetry book that I read every other day. I'm not very consistent about it. But there's a line of poetry that was in Rebus's mind. And literally the page before that, when I was reading it, I'm like, oh my God, it's just like that one poem. And then I was like, no, wait, that poem was not about Edinburgh, it was about Slough. And I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced Slough, right? Slough. It's not like slough or something. I hope not. Yeah, bombs, bombs, bombs. Yeah, I think it's that. And it's literally the poem that John Rebus was talking about. So, I don't know. It was about bombs on Slough. It's literally, I'm pretty sure that's the first line of the poem. And that was the sentence that Ian Rankin wrote down. So he says, there was a line of poetry in Rebus's head as he drove out towards one of Edinburgh's many quiet middle-class districts, the sort of place where nothing happened, the sort of place where crime was measured in a yearly attempted break-in or the theft of a bicycle. That was Barnton. The line of poetry hadn't been written about Barnton, it had been written about Slough. And I was like, holy shit, I had the same exact thought. So, the poem that he's talking about, it's Slough by John Betjeman, I'm pretty sure is how his name is, but that's a really long one, and I don't want to read that. So, it's a nice little poem. It's sad, but I remember it being sad. I'm pretty sure it was sad, but nice poem. I don't know. You could read it if you'd like. Yeah, I don't really have too many thoughts on this one, cause I don't know. I have other thoughts, but none that have really been, I don't know, heightened or enriched via my reading of this book. It's a fun mystery read. The pacing's a little fucked, but it's a quick read, I would say. And that's sort of another thing that I'm trying to do is I have a lot of books that, especially ever since I started buying like secondhand books, I have a lot of books. I do. And I'm really glad for that. But I haven't read all of them. And I don't like that because having books without reading them is just sort of, I don't know, just capitalism. No, it's just like ownership without actually recognizing the art within. Like, I like the image of a nice little book corner library in my home, but I also want to have read those books and talk about it if asked. I think a couple of years ago I tried to do a rough estimate of how many books I've read in my life, and I think I'm around 200 now, if you count like children's books that I've read too as a kid. And that's like I think that's a respectable number, but I hope that it could be higher. And as you get older, I think your reading only like sort of stagnates. I used to read so many more books when I was a kid, and the pacing of it was much faster. So I have a little break and I have a little time to myself, and even though I feel like an unemployed loser, like it's doing some irreparable harm to my sense of self-worth. But I also recognize that I'm probably not going to have this time probably ever again in my life. So I would like to have like a summer like a kid used to have a summer, no school, you sort of hang out at home, hang out with your friends, read books, and then, be like, oh my God, this is all the summer reading I did this year. I think that'd be fun. Anyways, not gonna stretch this one out too long, even though we're already at 15 minutes. Kill myself. Never kill yourself. Never kill yourself. Joke about it, but don't do it. This is never gonna get monetized ever, is it? Yeah. I love you. Have a great day. I hope you had a great day. Yeah. Peace.